In a vast, noisy city, where people hurried by without so much as a glance at each other, there lived a man named Leo. In his mid-50s, Leo was a solitary soul who kept to himself. Life had not been easy for him. After years of hard work, he had lost his job at a local factory when the company downsized. Struggling to make ends meet, Leo lived in a small, cramped apartment on the edge of the city. His life felt gray, like the concrete walls that surrounded him. Days blended into each other, and the world outside seemed to move on without him. Leo had grown used to his loneliness. He spent his days filling out job applications, scouring classifieds, and waiting in long lines at the employment office. The few neighbors he had barely knew him, and he made little effort to reach out. "What's the point?" he would mutter to himself. Each day felt heavier than the last, and with each passing week, hope seemed like a luxury he could no longer afford. One chilly autumn evening, as Leo was walking home from another fruitless job search, he spotted something unusual by a dumpster in a narrow alley. Huddled up against the cold concrete wall was a small, scruffy dog, curled up tightly in an attempt to keep warm. The dog was skinny, its fur matted and dirty, and it looked up at Leo with tired, pleading eyes. At first, Leo just stood there, uncertain. He told himself he couldn't take on any more responsibility. He could barely take care of himself. But as he looked into the dog's eyes, something in him softened. He saw in those eyes a reflection of his own loneliness and struggle. Before he even realized what he was doing, Leo took off his worn-out scarf and gently wrapped it around the shivering animal. The dog wagged its tail weakly, and Leo felt a pang of something he hadn't felt in a long time: compassion. With a sigh, he scooped up the dog, cradling it in his arms, and made his way back to his apartment. Just for tonight, he whispered to himself, though deep down, he already felt a connection with the creature. He brought the dog into his apartment, gave it some leftover food, and a small bowl of water. The dog, whom he named Rusty, ate eagerly and then settled down beside Leo's chair, curling up with a sense of peace that seemed almost miraculous. As Rusty drifted off to sleep, Leo couldn't help but watch him, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. Days turned into weeks, and Leo and Rusty became inseparable. Rusty followed him everywhere, wagging his tail and brightening the small, dim apartment with his boundless energy. Caring for Rusty gave Leo a reason to get up in the morning, a reason to go for walks in the nearby park, and even a reason to smile again. Rusty's playful barks and endless enthusiasm filled the once lonely apartment with a joy that Leo hadn't known in years. One afternoon, while walking Rusty in the park, Leo met a friendly woman named Sarah. Sarah was immediately drawn to Rusty and struck up a conversation with Leo. They talked about Rusty, about life, and before long, they found themselves meeting regularly in the park. Sarah introduced Leo to people in the neighborhood, and before he knew it, he was attending community events and meeting new friends. The walls he had built around himself slowly started to come down, brick by brick, as he reconnected with the world around him. With Sarah's encouragement, Leo gained the confidence to keep searching for work. One day, he landed a job at a small bookstore nearby. It wasn't much, but it gave him a sense of purpose, and he found himself looking forward to each day with renewed energy. Rusty would often accompany him to the shop, curling up in a sunny corner and greeting customers with a wag of his tail. As the months went by, Leo's life transformed. He became an active part of his community, found fulfillment in his work, and even rekindled his dream of becoming a writer, a passion he had long forgotten. On quiet evenings, he would sit by the window, penning down stories, with Rusty curled up beside him. His heart felt lighter, and his spirit seemed to have found a new lease on life. One evening, as he sat on a bench in the park, watching the sunset with Rusty by his side, Leo thought back to the night he had found his scruffy companion by the dumpster. He realized that bringing Rusty home had been the turning point, the moment that opened his heart and led him toward a new beginning. Rusty had given him companionship, joy, and the strength to step out of his isolation. This small, abandoned creature had unknowingly given him the greatest gift, hope. From that day forward, Leo became known in his neighborhood as the kind, cheerful man who always had a story to share and a dog by his side. Rusty had changed his life, and Leo never forgot how a simple act of kindness on that chilly autumn night had led him to a life filled with friendship, love, and purpose.